we have now seen car sales, particularly new car sales, plummet by 20-30% and worldwide by almost 40%. So overall vehicle sales have plummeted by 29.7% in South Africa, with 33,545 units sold last year. And it's expected that export sales is also going to decline. So we've seen a new car plummet globally as well as in South Africa. And then pre-lockdown, we saw a growth in used car sales. Now, during lockdown, obviously, there is nothing that dealers can do to fulfill the transaction, which I'm sure we're going to hear from you about. But what is your forecast when it comes to what's going to happen post-lockdown? What are we expected to see? How do you think the consumer market is going to have reacted? Are we going to see more used cars sold? Are we going to see the continuing dive of new car sales? As a dealership, what is your sense?
So it's quite a difficult question to answer. It will, it will be more of an educated guess than a direct answer. But as the consumer psychology changes, the expensive new car will be, in my opinion, will become more of a thing in the past. The value lies in the used car. So taking a premium brand, for example, buying new against buying a good pre-owned one with 20, 30, 40, 50,000 kilometers still within Motorplan will be the attractive choice for the consumer. If you compare payments, 30-40% saving on payments, and as difficult as it's going to be on the new cars, it will be on the used cars as well, because in turn we get our used cars from the new car market.
Yeah. So
if less new cars are being sold, less used cars are available in the marketplace. Therefore, in my opinion, it will drive the price up.
Yep.
So I believe used cars will become more expensive, and get to a point where the new cars will start doing creative specials and bringing things together and payment relief periods. So it will be a war between new and used cars, at least for the first 3 to 4 months. I at least in my business, predict that I will get back to normal within 3 to 4 months. Normal targets will be achieved again. But we're going to have to be skilled sailors in the storm that we're coming rather out of, transitioning out of. It will be tricky, but I think it's not all gloom. I believe, the South African used car and new car market is very resilient. There's a bunch of creative people, that work within the dealer groups and within the banking industry that will assist with new innovative ways of doing things and doing it better, faster. I believe 3 months, 4 months maximum will be back to normal, but definite increase in used cars and a decrease in new cars. That's a fact.
I think I resonate that prediction in that used cars will recover relatively quickly, depending on how we come out of this lockdown. But your sentiments are echoed by Jeb McIntosh from CMH, who said that it's going to be very, very difficult for new car for several months. And I think that because consumers in South Africa have to drive, we're not a country that has an effective public transport system. And because we have to drive, we have to use motor vehicles. And because we have to use motor vehicles, if new cars are under some serious pressure and there's a bigger swing to used, like you say, Bobby, the price of the used car will not plummet. So cars won't depreciate as fast as what I'm hearing you say. And I believe that's true. Used cars won't depreciate as quickly. So how does that play into dealership strategies if prices are going to be more buoyant and we're not going to see as much depreciation on used cars in the future? What is your take on what your dealership should do differently if you had to talk to anyone else out there?
So, as stock becomes more, or good quality stock becomes more difficult to buy, wherever the dealers are buying it from, it will create a competitive market between the dealerships. marking up price against quality. So I think you should, as a dealer, define your strategy and go with it. So, for example, MitMak Motors do not price to be the cheapest. We've got our core values. We want to provide you with quality, reliability, and peace of mind. And knowing that, I should communicate that message, firmly across all media platforms. And I should reinsure it by, allowing people to go on third-party sites, show everybody your reviews. I mean, that's a great tool to use to demonstrate what other people are saying about your company, because everybody claims they're good. Showing a little bit of an angle from previous experienced customers will be an advantage if you're going to compete in that same sort of price range, but who's got the better quality and after sales. I think that's going to be the key point that a dealership should focus on going forward, in my opinion.
That's some very good insights from Bobby Petkov from MitMak Motors, and I think you're absolutely right. You've got to continue to communicate with the consumer during this time and even afterwards, which leads me into this whole thing about brand. How is MitMak Motors building its brand during this lockdown period, and how are you thinking differently about building your brand in the future? So talking to my first part of my question, which is, it's very difficult to get content on cars during lockdown. I mean, you're unable to take photographs of cars at the moment. For the next week, you're unable to take photographs of cars. And hopefully level 4 means, and we'll get there just now, level 4 means that you can go back to some sort of normality. But, let's say that you can't. What do you do to create content to keep your brand rising in the market as a car dealer during periods like lockdown? What are you doing?
So we've got a good social media presence where we always try and give back. So I always say the best way to ask for something is to give you something first. So I can't expect for you to give me if I haven't given you first. So we try and communicate positive, completely positive messages. We've gone as far as giving 5-minute exercise tips to our clients, and sharing cool car funny videos. A lot of good response has come out of that, and a couple of competitions that we run, keeping everybody engaged. We've got the Free Fuel Friday competition. Every single Friday we give away fuel vouchers that hopefully not going to be used for fuel during lockdown, but for other stuff. We've got website Wednesdays where we ask the people to go visit our website, see a favorite car, screenshot it back to us. And, we try and engage with them that way. I mean, the psychology has changed. So if you're pushing sales down the people's throats during this time continuously, it's going to, in my opinion, create a negative message. So we in the giving mood during lockdown, not in the taking mood.
There we go.
Like to give.
I think that really sums it up, and that is when it comes to your social media platforms as a car dealer, and when it comes to the messages you communicate, give. Give before you expect to receive, because you're right. Those car dealers who are merely just working leads aren't going to be the ones who build the pent up sales pipeline. How is your pent up sales pipeline doing, Bobby? Are you seeing positive things after lockdown?
Absolutely, I can't wait. The shift in leads, or the shift in number in leads, has created an opportunity as well. So as the leads reduce, because they have reduced, it's natural, it's normal, they can't remain the same. We have found the quality of lead increase. So we spoke about it, in the previous show, and I would just like to touch on it again. The customer, reaching out at this point is really the buyer. And I have, my team is going to see this later on, but it's cool. They've seen what I've done. So I've sort of classified my sales staff into 3, and I've got the people that embrace technology, the people that are actively involved and send information, ask for information, and I've got the people that sort of do it okay, and then the people that the older generation that's scared of technology, and they sort of like, what do we do now? So I've tried to pair them up the people that are afraid, pair them up with someone that's very good, and assist each other in the leads that they get, rather than stop sending everyone leads and have a disadvantage to some people. So the way that you communicate with the little leads that you get is key. You have to be, the client should receive as much information as possible. How many owners, accident history, service history, repair history, everything that you can send him. Over inform the client, and we've seen a good spin-off on that. The clients are very happy, and those that send us a lead are either approved, declined, irrelevant, what the outcome is, but they are the people that engage with us and want to, out of lockdown, come and sign for their vehicles.
So keeping your customers engaged. Now, there's two particular problems that dealerships face during lockdown. The one is the one, and we can address it both separately, Bobby. But the first one is the consumer can effectively walk away from the deal post lockdown because you haven't really closed a deal until you've delivered the car. That's the first challenge. The second challenge is most of the time the approved finance that we get, and tell me if this has changed, but the approved finance that the consumer would have gotten is only valid for a certain period of time. And so therefore the validity of that finance might also have expired by the time lockdown lifts, which means they got to reapply, right? So if we address the first question, does it help for a car dealer to have some sort of non-refundable deposit that the consumer pays, or have you not approached it that way? How have you approached the consumer actually staying in the deal?
So absolutely, the non-refundable deposit, whoever uses a non-refundable deposit will lose. It's just a fact. We've created a fully refundable deposit system where a consumer sees a car, is very interested, and would like to purchase this vehicle, but unfortunately will only make a decision once he's seen the vehicle. So a 5,000 or 10,000, depends on dealer to dealer, but I would, I'd share now my strategy with you, what we're doing. A 5,000 Rand fully refundable deposit gets paid into our account. We reserve then the vehicle for you, and you have 5 working days after lockdown ends to make a decision based on what you've seen on the vehicle, based on the finance situation. Are you approved? Aren't you approved? Completely refundable, completely transparent. Funny enough, we've got on one vehicle, we've got 5 holding deposits on one vehicle.
There we go.
Each and every customer knows that I'm second in line, and I'm third in line, and I'm fourth in line.
So you've been transparent about where they are in the queue.
Absolutely.
Yes. Okay, so that's very interesting, and I posed that question in that way because I think there are some dealers who are doing the non-refundable deposit, and when I think about it, it's not a very consumer-centric way. It's almost like trying to force a cell phone contract for 2 years.
Yeah, if you're gonna act like a professional, you should put yourself in the consumer's shoes first. So how would I feel about a dealership telling me it's non-refundable, I haven't seen the vehicle, and there's some sleazy salespeople out there. Sorry for using that word, but
I think across every industry there is.
Yeah, absolutely. Unfortunately, and they'll pressure you into, there's 17 other people on the car, and use a weak tactic like that, and that's, shame on them. If you expect to be treated a certain way when you are a consumer at a business, then that's how you should treat your customer as well. First you need to attend to their needs. So creating, reassuring the customer that it is as good as I say it is, and you will only make a decision based on you assessing my judgment of the vehicle, and then go forward or take your money back and purchase from somebody else. You have to do that.
Absolutely.
You can't have the non-refundable approach. No.
And ladies and gentlemen, this is why MitMak Motors is winning Pretoria, is because of these kinds of strategies. Very good for the consumer. Then to my second question, Bobby, how do you get around the limited time period for the finance deal? How are you getting around it?
So that's, I think that's the biggest problem to solve for in South Africa. The 7 days, in my opinion, is unfair from the banks, because ITC updates once a month. So in my opinion, it should be a 30-day, if not a 30-day, at least a 2-week approval. But for now, a couple of the banks, I don't want to name and shame who has and who hasn't, but a couple of the banks has selected, the dealers that are in their good books, if I could use that word, and have given the opportunity for dealerships to sign up certain clients. So as you get a category 1 through to 5 client, your 1, 2s, and 3s are allowed to sign the contract, and it's only then a legal contract once the delivery note is signed. So the customer can still, at that point, pull out of the deal without any implication on his name. But unfortunately, it's not all the banks that have done it, and some clients will get approved from a bank that hasn't done it. So it's a real challenge at the moment. It's unfortunately like being in a boxing ring with your hands tied behind your back. You are at the mercy of the banks, and the clients, we plead with them: make sure your debit orders go through at the end of the month. Make sure your credit rating stays the same, or else we'll be in a position to present a decline after lockdown comes.
Well, for intents and purposes, after that 7-day period, if there's any new piece of data in the bank system or in the ITC system, their deal could be declined after it's been approved, right?
Yeah, absolutely. It creates a difficult time, especially during a time where not everybody's getting full salaries. I mean, people are getting retrenched. They're going to be retrenched going forward. So yeah, it's a toughie. That's a real toughie at the moment.
And one more question before I get to your final thoughts on last night's speech. But when it comes to consumers selling cars, I've heard from a couple of dealers that the consumers wanting to offload their cars is quite buoyant at the moment. Consumers are wanting to sell their cars even during lockdown. Are you finding the same thing? And have you bought cars?
So we're getting a lot of leads for consumers wanting to trade in cars more than sell cars. But it's a big thing coming, in my opinion. It's a huge wave of, the client who owns a GLC that would like now to, if I may say, downgrade to a C class, downgrade on payment rather, or to a C class. So a lot of heavy cars are entering our system at MitMak, and it's cars that have been sold by us or sold by different companies. But there's a huge amount of people that want to go from the 7,000 Rand payment to the 4,500, 5,000 Rand payment, just to manage their cash flow better. The cars that I've been offered to sell outright have been difficult, to make offers on, as the settlement values are huge. So yeah, it's mainly fresh cars that have entered the market or that have been purchased 6, 7, 8, 12 months ago. So it's difficult to buy those vehicles at the moment. It's very difficult.
So I suppose the message is, post-lockdown, car dealerships can create some more stimulus in the economy if you keep some cash to take advantage of the wave post-lockdown, because consumers are going to want to do all of these things. They're going to want to downgrade. They're going to want to offload their used car. They're going to want to trade in. There's going to be economic activity because some of their lifestyles would have changed, either downgraded or in the coming months, some businesses might win more than others, which means that people are going to have the opportunity to upgrade too. So there's also the upside. So I suppose what Bobby is saying is, be ready as a car dealer. Don't just sit back and let this happen to you. There's always opportunity in a crisis. And then very finally, Bobby, what did you think about the president's speech last night, and how do you think it's going to affect car retailers? Do you think you're going to be able to go back to work on Monday?
So I've been in contact with various associations last night and this morning as well. There is meetings that are actively going on as we speak now with the ministers, with the relevant ministers. I believe the message was a little bit confusing, as some businesses can go on and operate, but at 30% staff level. So that's my big question, because at 30% staff level at MitMak, I can be 100% effective, from what I've learned during lockdown. So if it's the case at 30% staff level, I'm extremely happy. I believe we'll know by end of business tonight. It was promised on a reliable group that what the decision was by the minister. So in my opinion, by the end of business tonight, we'll know Monday. If not, things are looking like at stage 3 we might open. Some rumors are 11th of May, some are 15th of May. It's very difficult. I just hope and pray that the 30% rule applies to us and we can open.
Well, there's to hoping. So I'm hoping tonight that we all get that news. I mean, the automotive industry in South Africa, as you know, accounts for about 7 to 8% of our national GDP, and without car retailers, the entire value chain stands still. So car retailers out in the market, driving the economy is important. But then again, we also need to get rid of this virus. So somehow we need to navigate both worlds. We can't go out there and be reckless either. As a business AutoTrader, we've already started to make reintegration plans, and we will share those reintegration plans with our customers closer to next Friday. And that is also if we can go back to the office. And I suppose the message is pragmatically, even if the president and the government allows us all to go back to work, do it sensibly. If the government says 50% of people can go back to work in a particular sector, take it slow. Take 2 or 3 weeks to get back to 50% rather than, boom, light switch and everybody's back at work, because you just never know what this virus is going to do. So take it pragmatically, but let's be thankful that we can start to stimulate economic activity again.